Welcome to another broadcast of Truth Be Told, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me in studio is your other host, Captain Ron. Well, today we have a great show. We have Laura Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Today we're going to talk about Laura's journey. We've had her on the show before, always interesting, but her journey has been an exciting one. From being an intuitive astrologist, and she is a leading expert on health, exopolitics, metaphysics, and galactic history. And we're also going to touch on her upcoming speaking engagement at the Conscious Life Expo right here in Los Angeles. The title of her workshop, Awakening the Divine Template. So we hope that this interview inspires you and you can walk away with a brand new knowledge. So please help us welcome to Truth Be Told, Laura Eisenhower. Laura's back. Watch out. How you doing? How you doing, Laura?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, and this is the first time that Cap's been on since you've been here.
But I've heard your show with him.
Yes,
Absolutely.
And, well, first off, thank you for doing this again. One thing I wanted to have you on is to help promote your upcoming Conscious Life workshop. But again, we always have a great time when you're here. So a lot to talk about since I think it's been 2015, I think is the last time maybe you were here. So a lot has happened, and I just want to get this out of the way. All right? I just want to get this out of the way so we can touch on some other stuff. I remember the last time you were on the show that you said that presidents of the United States are not voted in. Is that correct? Normally.
I probably said that. I mean, I feel it's rigged. The whole system is just under control of something else. I mean, it's good that Hillary didn't win. I'm not that into Trump. It would have been nice to have Bernie Sanders, but the whole political system, the whole government structure is not really like serving the people, and it's not promoting or it's not encouraging us to be sovereign or self-reliant when it comes to our own healing and self-awareness. So
well,
I'll just say that.
Well, that said, and like I said, I just want to move on after this because we have so much more to talk about. But the powers that be, I honestly didn't think they would want Trump as president, but he got in. So what is your take on, because if people, the true government behind the scenes didn't want him in, he wouldn't have been in. So why do you think he got elected?
Well, if you see, I mean, Hillary was really declining physically, with her cough, with her sort of stumbling around a bit.
Right.
I really think they probably felt that they needed to just kind of pull her back in. I don't know if they ran out of clones. I don't know how it all works completely and totally, except for the fact that I have always felt that Hillary, the Clintons, have been with, the Bush Illuminati sort of world, and they're very dangerous. And I feel, the Draco agenda is tapering away. I mean, it's not as powerful anymore. There's artificial intelligence, but it's up to each of us as individuals whether or not we're going to connect with those signals versus the energies of ascension that are organic, that are a part of nature. It's not something we have to understand through a book. It's not a spiritual practice. It's something we're actually connected to on a DNA level. So there's always sort of that choice. So I feel like, they probably think, Trump's not really, just like Obama. Obama wasn't able to do a whole lot. The thing is, they really want the Clinton sort of Bush energy in office. It's not as popular as they would like, but they're hoping that, when they have a Trump or an Obama in office, they can at least still pull the strings or, control the whole exopolitical situation. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get real loud, and we've always kind of been loud, all of us, you, me, and others. And I think, maybe we can get Trump to listen a bit. But he's just kind of been his own kind of ego trip. But he's not Illuminati as far as I'm concerned. He's just kind of a moron.
And there it is. And there it is. Well,
I don't want to say that, though. Clear that. I mean, I don't want to be judgmental. You know, I don't want that to get back to him because I would really like to figure out a way to work with him. Right. I mean that in a sort of joking way because of his sort of, you know, how his energy
I get it. I get what you're saying.
He's got a lot of himself. He can be a bit much.
No, I get what you're saying. It's you know, like I said, I've always said from day one, I'm going to give him a chance. Like any president, I'll give a chance until they get to the point where I can't give them a chances anymore. I mean, so
sure.
that said, so I'm going to take it this because there is a lot of uncertainty about, you know, with the world, spirituality. I think it feels like religion and spirituality it's almost feel like religion is trying to grasp a hold of their last leg right now because, you know, with the, you know, we're a Christian nation and all this stuff. But I want you to talk about, if you can, if you don't mind, about coming up at your conference, the Divinity Path, the Guardians. How do you think at this time, this period, 2017, the spirituality, the guardians of our planet, the guardians of our personal lives and spirits are helping us at this moment to get through to the next phase of our I don't know what the word is, but just the next phase to where we can finally move on to where we're not so battling each other all the time.
Well, I mean, this planet was seeded as an ascension planet, so it was kind of inevitable that we'd be moving into this window period that we're in, called a stellar activation cycle, which basically is between 2000 and 2017. And there's been a lot of attention from the Guardians for a long time. I mean, they are pretty much the architects and the founder groups and races. And there's three of them, three main groups. Corey Good talks about the sphere beings. The Guardians that I'm aware of are connected or are of the same sort of family, I guess you could say. There's a lot to it. There's a race called the Aquafarians that went extinct during the electrical wars a really, really long time ago that have come back, that are connected to the Andromedan universe. And there are, basically in 2009, 2012, the hosting of the Ascension timeline shifted from the Melchizedek, to the crystal star family.
Huh.
I'm sorry, can you hear that? Because that shouldn't be going off.
No, I heard that. I heard it, yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, let me see if I can turn that off. Hold on. Trying to get a better signal. We got a lot of rain here. I'm just on speaker.
Oh, okay.
I just moved like a block here. Okay, down. Okay, so the Aurora families and the Crystal families are connected to Andromeda, and they are playing a really big role right now. And basically, we look at, well, how does that relate to the human vessel? That connects to our 8th and 9th chakra, which are galactic chakras. They're above our 7th chakra. When we look at how does that correlate with the Earth body, it connects with the 8th and 9th gate. So when we look at the physical body, behind the neck at the top of the spine, there's something called the mouth of God, and that 8, the infinity spiral, is connected with that. So when we begin to move into those initiations, into that level of awareness, there's a lot of psychic attack that ends up coming. So these guardian groups are trying to help us, but they can't do it for us. It's similar to an immune system.
Right.
You know, it's there. You know, we can utilize it. We can have it work for us, but we got to step up to the plate, or else it's really not going to function. Particularly if we're dealing with injury, illness. We have to be able to, we have to eat in a good way. We have to have positive thought forms. We have to be on board. So, I mean, none of this is going to just come out of, anything that wants to do it for us is a red flag.
Right.
We'll just say that.
Right. And when you say ascension, because when I hear ascension is, when our spirit leaves our body. I mean, is that what you're talking about? The preparation for leaving our body itself, the physical body, or just what?
It's an upgrade of our DNA connected to the Earth body, so it's very much a grounded experience.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, like, we come in like 3 strands, 4 strands activated, and that would be a more advanced individual, like a crystal indigo type would be like a 4-strand activation. Well, we have 12-strand potential and beyond. So, and there's also 12 stargates, and the ley lines of the planet are a replica. So our physical body and the planetary grid are pretty much like the same. 26,000 years ago, a lot of some pretty heavy dark technologies were put underground in order to impact the grid, which in turn impacted our DNA and made it very difficult for us to bring together and integrate the masculine and feminine, the magnetic and the electric. And the sacred geometries have been manipulated and put in reversal codes. The Illuminati have just made it their mission to keep us from being able to, create alchemy and get in touch with our own, gifts and abilities, that aren't really gifts. They're our birthright. we're made of it. We used to function at this level, but we sank in density a long time ago. And we're kind of like, we've been in this process of getting it back. So ascension, has to do with the activations and frequency downloads that give us the opportunity to get that back. But it's taking us into higher earth energy. So we're still grounded, but we're functioning at a higher DNA level. So we're experiencing a different reality than what's in front of us right now. Right now, we're trying to get out of sort of this matrix kind of mind control enslavement agenda, if you know what I mean.
And I
people
think
like you and me are out of it.
I was going to say I feel that there's a lot more of us than what it used to be, because Captain Ron and Eddie and Dean and all the people that at least I'm around, I hear more and more people talking about it than ever before. Did we lose you?
She hung up on you. She was offended by
there
that.
You go.
Listen, I'd cut him off too, Laura. Listen.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so, people have a different way of viewing it. And I've been researching it for a while. I was prepared when I was a kid, because this was the big window period that my mission was really going to start to, I guess, be more out there. The thing is, we're stargates. We're connected to the stargates on the planet, our DNA and our chakra system. So if we can just go through the initiations that life presents to us in a very natural way, we're on board. But if we get distracted away and we get sort of lost in this transhumanism nightmare, even though it looks good, the long-term implications are not so good.
Right.
So we got to watch what we're doing right now, because this is a really critical phase.
Laura, you said you've been researching this for years, since you were a kid or whatever. What are you researching? Where's this material come from?
What's that?
Like, what's the source material for this? Where are you getting this information? That we're a grid and the DNA and all that. Where's that coming from?
Well, a lot of it, I just kind of understood, and then when I came across Keylontic Science and Lisa Renee's work, it explains it all on a very technical level. And then I was like, phew, thank God, because, it's like I had a hard time, really articulating this sort of stuff.
But you felt it just naturally on your own. This came to you just naturally. You thought of this, and then you found that this other person kind of spelled it out better. Is that what you're saying?
Well, these others, get direct channeling from the Guardians, whereas, I have a strong connection to the Sophia Magdalene energies, and my background's in wilderness expedition leadership, so I've always just been listening to the Earth. And when I was a kid, I did have some contacts, that was helping me to understand my mission. But, I don't write it up to the degree that these others do. And I just got the goosebumps when I was reading it. But I don't read books, but I skimmed through their stuff, and I was like, yes, 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 yes. So, sometimes I quote their material, but, I can't really read anything. I just allow my intuition to guide me, and then I kind of Google and see if anybody else agrees with me, and then I pull their information up, and some of these terminologies are what I learned.
Interesting.
Lisa became a really good friend of mine, though. Her website is energeticsynthesis.com, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's just going to give you all the info. She's got an ascension glossary, too, which will really help people to, understand some of these words that might go over their head.
Right.
They're really, when we can see a different word, that might be a little bit more simple for us, we really do understand all of this, but sometimes the words can get in the way.
Well,
sounds like a relationship problem, but yeah.
I want to ask you something about stargates. I mean, the only time I remember when I first really kind of was introduced to Stargate. Remember the movie Stargate?
Of course.
Kirk Russell.
Right.
That's when I think
in the pyramid.
Yeah, in the pyramid. Now, that's what I when I first was introduced. So when I hear Stargate, I get my image. Can you talk about Stargates and how we can understand them a little more? And talking about organic ascension energies. So what could you talk about the connection between Stargates and that?
Between Stargates and what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, about ascension energies. There we go.
Are you gonna have another trouble like last time?
Yes.
Ascension.
Ascension. I can't. It's like cinnamon. Cinnamon.
Well, ascension and Stargates connect us with other dimensions. They're, in a sense, sort of like, I guess, wormholes.
Right.
Each chakra, in a sense, also is like a Stargate. And it can get us somewhere a lot quicker than, maybe the means that we've been taught, like that slower version of space travel. And our consciousness can move real quick. The physical density always has sort of a hard time, catching up.
Right.
But this period that we're in right now, the electromagnetic waves are increasing, and the light codes that are coming in are allowing the physical density to integrate, these high vibrations, which enables the carbon base to begin to move into crystalline and into also the silicate matrix. There's a lot of different groups and beings that are assisting in this process, but it's very, very difficult for the physical vessel because we've been so used to carrying this skin jacket or meat suit in the way that it kind of is for a really, really long time, and to all of a sudden, get access to, which we all do. I mean, we all have this resource. It depends on our consciousness whether or not we're going to be able to connect with it. But it's very difficult for the physical body to go through these changes. It's very much like a butterfly into a caterpillar, into a butterfly. And I mean, when can we call and work and say, excuse me, I'm going through an upgrade. I just got a big frequency download, and I'm starting to move into the crystalline atomic structures, and so this kind of languaging. Well, the problem is sometimes it can be just kind of that foo-foo new age BS, but a lot of it isn't. Some of it is when it comes down. The part that I think is BS is when we're being told how to think and how to be. It's like that's just as controlling as anything else. The path to ascension starts with authenticity, starts with devoting yourself to a path of choosing to be a sovereign being, and going through the initiations on a conscious level so that you can move energy, change your life, get rid of people that aren't healthy for you, and move into a more conscious way of living. Minerals and resupplying the body with minerals, that alone can assist with our DNA upgrade. We have been so leached of so many nutrients, I mean, the soil and everything, and we've been dealing with chemtrails. I think people can agree that everything feels pretty heavy still.
Yeah.
This doesn't really feel like ascension energy. At least I'm not. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. I do.
You know what she means.
The energy I think with the election, but it goes way beyond that. It feels like everybody's always at each other's throats. It's just always heavy. No matter if you're having a good day, there's just always something that feels like it's over
weighing you down. Yeah,
weighing you down. Okay, I want to ask you this. In your bio, it says you're about galactic history. Can you tell me what that is and how you got started on, I guess, this history lesson that hopefully you can share with us?
Well, growing up in the Eisenhower family, and hearing about all these different rumors with extraterrestrials visiting during his administration, got me, really looking deeper and deeper into just as many layers of all this as I possibly could. I was recruited to go off planet in 2006 to Mars, so it made me well aware of a shadow government, and that other things are going on behind the scenes that we're not given information about. That utilizes our tax dollars. These 13 families too. With multi-generational trauma-based mind control to keep the family energies of the Illuminati almost like weapons against the rest of us. I began to really notice, in my work, because a lot of my clients came with these stories, and a lot of these stories were similar. So, I've just had a lot of very beyond just internet and just accessing, wacky information. I've just a lot about in my personal life has given me, that face-to-face contact. So, I think it really just started with, just the curiosity. It's like, first of all, how the hell did I end up in this family?
Right. Right.
And I have a big mouth, so I knew, and I'm all about truth. And Eisenhower's been a spirit guide, or just really by my side, just really wanting to complete all this, and there's a big push to bring all the secrecy out, because the thing is, people think it's just disclosure, like telling the human race that there's extraterrestrials. Well, that's just a small part of it. I mean, we're dealing with agendas. We're dealing with, control groups. We're dealing with really advanced technologies and, things that have been going on behind our back. So when disclosure finally happens, it's because the agendas are where they want them to be. So, the work that all of us have been doing in this sort of truth movement, where we're exposing things like the secret space program, and we're shedding more light on what chemtrails are all about, and what these different groups are, these different extraterrestrial races, and, ET government treaties, and the things that really did happen after the Second World War, and, the roots of this in the Anunnaki, and, there's a huge picture. So then I was like, okay, well, let's go all the way back. And then I got really interested in what took place before we fell in density. We had unbelievable abilities. When we look at the Lyran system, we're at a 10, 11, 12 dimensional level. The Taurus system, where Tiamat exploded and became the asteroid belt, that was dimensions 4, 5, and 6. And I know for some people the numbers can get a little bit like, sometimes I don't always think it's necessary to get stuck on the numbers here, but these other dimensional Earths connect with our DNA. So when we switch on these strands, we're actually stepping into it, and it becomes our reality, like I mentioned before.
Right.
So I've been curious about the history, because it's certainly not in the history books. We don't hear about extraterrestrials, and there's a major influence of these, different groups and races and how they interact with our government. There's many species connected to more the military-industrial complex and more, the intention to sort of control and enslave the human race. And then, there's much more benevolent beings that are amongst us or near us. And
hey, Laura, are you of the camp? Am I correct in understanding that you think they're interdimensional as opposed to interplanetary? Is that where you're coming from? The ETs.
I think I'm kind of like an all of the above, you know?
No,
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've got some that are interacting with Earth, some that are not able to interact with Earth because of just how they're made. I mean, not how they're made, but like they can't handle this, you know, particular density. When we're dealing with, you know, something like greys, they're already digressed. I mean, some species of greys supposedly are future human selves that are time traveling back to get genetic information. And humans run the risk of digressing into, an EBE form where the physical body loses all ability to reproduce. And, it's digression. I mean, people might see a being like that and think they're advanced, and I'm not saying that they're completely digressed because their intellect is very large and expanded. But, there's different points in future timelines that they time travel back, and there's different types. You know, some have the ability to have empathy and emotion, and some don't. You know, it depends where on the timeline they are, and it gets very complicated, you know?
Right.
Because a lot of people are smeared. It's hard to know what's disinformation and what's not. But when I was recruited to go to Mars, I can say that I really felt a resonance with what Dan Burrish was saying about timelines and the looking glass technology. Those were the technologies that they used to locate me, and that's what they sort of were working with to kind of pull me in. Supposedly they had to shut down using those technologies because they're just too dangerous.
I'm sure they are, yeah. Well, hey, Laura, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We gotta pay some bills, so don't go anywhere because we have some more questions for you. But if you're just tuning in, we're talking to the amazing Laura Eisenhower. She's going to be at the Conscious Life Expo next. I think it's next week. But,
so will we.
So yes, we will. We'll be streaming from there. But Sunday, February 12th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. in Los Angeles Room B. Then on Monday, you're going to be speaking post-conference, February 13th, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's a long time. You're going to be talking a while in the Century C room. So if you're in the LA area or want to fly into LA area, please get your tickets now, or hopefully they're not booked up and sold out once you get there. So, but anyway, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Truth Be Told. I'm Tony Sweet. We have Captain Ron here. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free at home and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show.
United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, sets the standard for most food supplements and are used in over 95% of all vitamin and mineral supplements in the world. The problem is that these products have never appeared in any living tissue. They're created in laboratories and are not recognizable to the body's metabolism. Grown by Nature products are different because they use renatured ingredients, proprietary blends of essential vitamins and minerals with cofactors of proteins, lipids, and complex carbohydrates. Over 50 studies have been conducted on renatured nutrients, and over 20 have been published in peer-reviewed journals proclaiming their superiority. As a result, Grown by Nature vitamins and supplements are now recognized as simply the best available. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 and order your Grown by Nature products today. We are what we eat, and since we are of nature, we should eat foods in their natural form. Only Grown by Nature offers a full line of renatured nutrients. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 because not all products are grown by nature, but they should be.
All right, we're back. This is Truth Be Told. I'm Tony Sweet. We have Captain Ron here. we have the amazing Laura Eisenhower on the phone, and she's going to be at Conscious Life Expo next weekend. We hope you guys will come. Captain Ron, myself, Dean Ryan are going to be there. We're going to be streaming live all weekend long. So we hope you guys will tune in right here on UBN Radio, Facebook Live, Periscope Live. So, Laura, thank you again for being here. I want to go a little bit more into the Mars travel because, like I said, they tried to recruit you. We interviewed somebody a couple months ago that they said Mars is actually owned by a space technology company. I can't remember the name, but. So I want to Google, yeah, probably. So I want to ask you, the travel to Mars. I mean, to me now that we can do time travel, is that? I mean,
maybe now we can do time travel. Where are you getting this
from, Laura? She said we're already traveling there. So
okay.
Mars can't be the only place we're going. I mean, there has to be another,
that's a good question.
Exotic location that we can travel to. So what other countries, what other planets or universes do you think we actually travel to besides just Mars?
Oh, I think it's just there's no end to the possibilities of that answer and the truth of where we've actually gone. I mean, there's bases on Saturn, Jupiter, supposedly, beings live within the planet Venus. When we look at the surface of many planets that look like they're not inhabitable, well, there's a whole other world going on inside. And there's an inner Earth here, Mm-hmm. But can I prove that? Have I seen it firsthand? No. Why do I say this so confidently? Because, in a lot of ways, I feel like I do journey there, and I do a lot of kinesiology when I do research, and my body tells me or rejects things that aren't true. I've set the intention for it to be that way, and the inner Earth thing has always been a very strong resonance. And then, have you guys? I mean, Corey talks a lot about it. He claims to have gone in there himself. In Valiant Thor. Eisenhower and Nixon put on VIP status for 3 years at the Pentagon.
Stranger at the
Pentagon.
They
came from Venus, and they mentioned coming from the inner Earth of Venus. So, I can only say what I hear that feels right, but I myself don't have fixed beliefs that are cemented. I like to just kind of keep myself flexible, but I would say beyond a reasonable doubt, I feel and really do. There's truth to this. But take it or leave it, folks. Anything down in the forest.
Say that last part. You cut out just a second. I want to make sure we heard that last part.
Well, the most important thing is, my goal is to encourage free thinking.
Right.
And there's a lot that's hard to prove. Whether it has to do with inner Earth or it has to do with different things that are going on in the kind of shadow government or secret space programs, because, so much is wiped out or it's just, they make it incredibly difficult to expose this sort of stuff. So, the way I see things is that we're all in this greater conversation. And in this greater conversation, the best thing that we can do is bring in our experiences, our knowledge, and what we've witnessed and what we've heard, and do our best with it. But be kind to each other. We don't have to be in a battle over all of this.
Right.
I think the most important thing is that we learn just the basics, like kindergarten stuff, like how to really just appreciate the diversity. And it's okay that we might not all see things the same way, but we got to give each other benefit of the doubt a little bit. As far as the smearing and the possible disinfo, there's signs that one can look for, to see if, somebody might be, operating, from that place. But, I think the most important thing, though, is that we begin to unify and we just open ourselves up. Everybody's moving at a different speed in regards to what, we can and cannot handle. And there's no better or worse way, But the most important thing is that we just figure out how to be harmonious, because without that, with us fragmented, conquered, and divided, we're very easily preyed upon, and that old paradigm has to be done.
How do you do that? I mean, I'm from Kansas. You're the President Eisenhower libraries in Kansas. So I'm from Kansas. So being in the Midwest and seeing all the Bible Belt, it's hard to break through that paradigm because they are set in this box of religion. I mean, people don't want to disbelieve anything that they're being taught in the churches. I mean, I was lucky. I was just lucky. I think, again, I was born thinking differently from day one.
I think Laura was too.
I don't know about you, but I don't know if you kind of fell into it, but I really knew from day one. So how do you, people like ourselves, like you said, we don't want to push our theory on them as we don't want somebody to push their religious theories on us. But how do we coexist so we can start integrating into a better outcome for our world? How do we start working together where we don't affect their belief and we don't get offended by theirs? How do we do that?
Well, there's going to be a point where it's not going to be about belief. It's going to be about direct experience. Those that have held to doubt and skepticism might find themselves, dealing with a ship, or a contact experience.
Right.
So we have no idea, what certain individuals are going to end up going through to shift where they are right now. As an astrologer, I've noticed, just how incredible it is. How, people sign up for their own life events to give them the wake-up calls they need when they need it most. But they don't necessarily consciously know when that's going to be. But it's in the sort of the seed, like we throw seed into the ground and
right.
kind of destined to blossom into whatever flower it is. I've been able to, really see, these life events, that the people are going to go through, to give them what they need. Sometimes it's a family member that goes through something, and just the experience alone of going through that journey with a loved one, can shift you forever. There is something that has to die out in the old paradigm. The new is coming in. There's going to be open people, in the mix that will be able to get the activations, and some are going to stick to their ways.
Right.
The thing is, when we look at death, it's the programming that's dying more than the actual person, because the programming, or the soul in that body, can't continue it in the way that it's going. If you think about it, we can heal just about anything, but yet people die of cancer all the time because there's still this dependency on the medical industry.
Right.
But if we all banded together and said, hey, let's make CBD more available, let's, educate people more, which a lot of people are doing, that would change just that whole, just the way, cancer is, and many, diseases. But, sometimes, when we think about it, like that grandparent or that family member, and then the freak like us are born into the family.
Right.
It really depends on how, I guess, much you give your grandfather some wine and sit with him a little bit. I don't know.
Well,
everybody's different. The Bible Belt stuff's a little scary, I have to say. I think that's something that's just going to have to taper out and die out. But
and I think it is changing. It is changing.
The soul wants to survive and thrive and not be in this mind control, because there is so much of it.
Well, what's funny is I think, when we're born and up to a certain age, it's like when I was a kid, I used to see an old man, like a ghost, in my house. My mom still says, yeah, I remember you used to say, there's an old man. And then when I was a little older, my nephew, he was about the age I was in, he saw it. Well, when we hit a certain age, normally we don't see that anymore because either we are corrupted mentally or
we learn
that that's not real.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like a lot of the people I grew up with that were very open-minded, and there still are, but then you get to another certain age, your 40s and 50s, and then you start getting more to you're set in your ways, and you seem to be a little more conservative and more religious, and so that a lot of my friends that I grew up with, I never got out of that mentality of being everybody. Hey, I don't care who you sleep with, I don't care what you do. If you want to do marijuana, that's you. It's not me. But then there's people that are my age, almost getting close to 50, where they're like, well, now they're very conservative. Oh, we don't, hippie.
It's a natural arc. It seems to be what happens in America, certainly.
But what's funny, it's now it's like my father, now he's 81, is now reverting back to where he's starting to be more open, more loving. So I think what you're saying is there is a time period, I think, in our lives where I think, we get a little more harder towards life, but I think the generation before, the millennials, and then whatever the generation that's called before the millennials, I think they are going to be changing this world in a lot different way. Because it's like you said.
Certainly the CBD oil, just for example,
right.
that age, once these elders pass on, they're all for it.
But my dad at 81, who is, probably a little farther past the beginning stages of Parkinson's, like I said, he was always talking about my brother doing pot, those potheads, there's bums, this, that. But now he's like, how do I get
medicine?
How do I get it?
Right.
And it blew my mind that his mentality changed. So I agree with you. That I believe that the old paradigm is starting to die out, and the new is starting to kick in, but I just feel like they're grasping a hold of the last. It's like the old white man that wants to stay in office. It's like it's time. It's time to let go and I'm not going to say let God, but let the universe take its course. So, well, we only have just a few minutes left, Laura. As always, I love having you here. I love talking to you. I hope that I get to see you next week at Conscious Life, at least give you a big old hug. But
oh my gosh, look forward to seeing you.
And could you just tell us real quick again what you're going to be talking about, so these people that are listening in, maybe locally or going to be flying in, that so they can stop in and see you. Could you tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Divinity Path. It's just really about helping one to feel more comfortable with what we're made of, what is within. Divinity has a lot to do with devoting to truth or a principle instead of, trying to seek perfection or looking for something outside the self. It's just a huge necessity right now to get to know ourselves and who we really are. And so in sort of helping to warm up those muscles, I'll be shedding a lot of light on DNA, earth grids, galactic chakras, the different groups that are here to, assist us and what we can do to prepare our physical vessel. And that's going to be pretty much between two different talks, one on Sunday and one on Monday. And then I'll be on a panel, the George Norrie panel.
Oh, wow. Good for you. Good. Well, I want to see that all three if I can make it. I doubt the Monday because I have to come into work all day. Some of us have to work, Captain Ron.
That's true.
But, Laura, thank you so much. We love you lots. And, again, I can't wait to have you back on soon. And I'll see you hopefully next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, and see you next weekend.
All right. Take care. All right.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So, Captain Ron, it is time for us to get the heck out of here.
That's it. No more shows today.
No more shows today.
All right.
I know. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in and hearing Laura Eisenhower. Please go check out our YouTube channel. I mean, if you're watching the video now, it's, you're probably on YouTube.
If you lasted the whole hour, you could go check out some more stuff.
Right.
That's right.
Right. But subscribe, leave a comment. We've had some great people email us and say, hey, would you mind having so-and-so on? I think they would be great for your show. I love hearing from you guys on people that we should have on the show.
And we'll go get them.
And we will. We'll try our best to get them in, get on our show. So subscribe to us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, and check out our website at truthbetoldwebtv.com. So we want to thank you guys. We'll see you next time, actually, at the Conscious Life Expo.
That's right. Next week we'll be live from the Conscious Life Expo, streaming live.
I can't wait.
It's going to be great.
All right. Until then, see ya.